Benedict and the Canyon Rescue.
My father was a Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff, and I grew up being exposed to police work. So it's kind of inbred, I guess. I wasn't sure I'd wanted to do it, but after majoring in psychology at college, I decided I could best use what I'd learned in law enforcement. When most people think of cops, they see us arresting criminals. But the job is really about helping people, even when helping them endangers our own lives.
Okay, now if we could get you to sign that right on the X. Thank you. Have a nice day.
I'd been working the Santa Monica Mountain area around Malibu for 4 years. My normal shift was spent answering calls for service in the isolated towns and houses in the hills. I'd been involved in an incident just 3 weeks prior that was a suicide. A woman and her small daughter had gone over the cliff. She wanted to take her life and was going to take the life of her child, too. The daughter managed to get out of the car as it was going over. The woman died at the bottom. It was the end of my shift, and I was thinking about spending Saturday night with my family. I was just driving and wondering what was for dinner. And then I started to notice something about the car ahead of me.
You better slow it down, buddy.
I couldn't tell who or how many people were in the car, but the driver had started at about 30 miles an hour, and the car's speed was getting up to 50 and slowly increasing. I could hear tires screeching. This wasn't safe. It wasn't very safe at all.
What the hell are you trying to do? Slow it down, buddy. You're not gonna make it.
Right at the point where I decided to stop the car, we went into the curve. At first, I thought it was going to hit the side of the cliff because the driver hadn't started to turn at the right time. Then the car just continued to go straight. I said, oh my God, it's driving off the cliff. And there she went. I immediately stopped my patrol car on the shoulder. There was smoke coming out of the engine, and the car was still moving. I tried to assess the situation, to see if there was anybody injured or trying to get out, but I saw no movement. Nobody had seen the accident except me. I looked around thinking, hey, let's go down and help whoever it is, but I was the only one there. To get close to the car, I had to move carefully, to scale down on my hands and knees. I knew that if the car continued to slide, it would go over the edge. The drop was more than 100 feet onto the rocks and the ocean below. When I looked inside, I saw that the woman driver was in full convulsion. She was having an epileptic seizure. I had to make a quick assessment of what I would need, or how I could get this person out of the car. There was still a lot of smoke coming from the engine, and there was gasoline all over the place. I was definitely concerned about an explosion. I decided that I was going to need paramedics and more help. The closest people to me were probably 25 to 30 minutes away, unless I could get a helicopter, and I needed to get her out of the car fast. I knew if I didn't, the car would tip over and she would almost certainly be killed.
This is 101. I've got a car over the cliff, Topanga Canyon, south of the S-curves, north of PCH. I repeat, I have a car over the cliff. I need an ambulance. I need search and rescue teams. I need some help.
10-4, 101. Rescue cruise ETA is 20 minutes.
I knew that the driver didn't have 20 minutes. I had to get her myself. When I got back, she was still in full convulsion, shaking immensely. I wasn't sure if she was choking or not. Every time I tried to open the door, the car would start moving. I was afraid that any action I took to save her would send it over the cliff. I tried the passenger door, and I thought I could get it open, but it was locked. The car started to slide down on top of me. I thought, this is not going to help either one of us. Because I figured the car was going to go over any second, I just yanked on the driver's side as hard as I could. It opened. The car was still moving and started to slide. I took out my buck knife and cut her restraining belt. My only chance was to drag her out of the car, hopefully before it dragged both of us over the edge. I could feel her spasm. I remember thinking as I carried her, how much can this woman weigh? The rocks were loose, which made it difficult to climb. Finally, I got her to a small ledge. The woman was still in convulsion, but only slightly now. I did what I could for her and walked up to the road. I started waving down cars, but they just went past me. I couldn't believe it. I was in uniform, but I couldn't get anybody to stop.
Pull over! Police emergency! Pull over and stop!
What do you want? I got her out of the car, but I need to help her. Yeah, sure.
So we both went down, and he helped me get her up to the roadside. I carried her upper body, and he carried her legs, and we got her up to the road. I stopped by the hospital at the end of my shift, but the woman was still unconscious. It wasn't until the next morning that I learned her name was Renee Saudier, and that she was all right. Renee had a history of grand mal seizures. During her recovery, her family and friends called and wrote me, thanking me for what I had done. It was a nice feeling. I didn't think it was a major thing until a couple of days later, when my supervisor told me that she thought it was a major thing. Being recognized for something that I would normally do during the course of my day really leaves a positive impact on you to go out and do a great job. But mostly I was happy to have been able to be there at the right time, in the right place, and really, that's all it was.
Samuel Jackson recovered from his wounds and was found guilty of armed robbery, possession of a weapon, and assault. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison and served 3. Larry Mullane remained with the Jersey City Police Department and is now a homicide detective. He was the real-life model for the recent feature film, Sea of Love. Renee Saudier suffered only minor injuries in the canyon accident. Deputy John Benedict was awarded the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department's Gold Meritorious Medal for Bravery and was named Police Officer of the Year for 1990. Benedict was also promoted to detective for this heroic act.
Michael's Harley-Davidson, Santa Rosa.